Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Drop us a comment down below. I do genuinely love hearing back from you guys. It does really help the channel too, so why not? Anyway, this week we're on issue 76 of Stormbringer magazine. It is part 1 of 3 of our Stormdrake Guard minis for the Stormcast Eternals. These are our last Stormcast Eternals as well, so they'll come over the next couple of weeks. So we should get another sprue, then flying stems and 2 bases. Obviously these are big units. With this I would suggest going with sub-assemblies. The magazine suggests going with sub-assemblies as well for painting them. It'll make your life a lot easier because it's far easier to do. There are a few options in terms of your Stormcast, so you can go helmet or no helmet. There is sword or lance options, and that's about it. But really cool unit. I must admit, I wanted these since the day that the magazine was announced, and it was announced that you'd get these as part of it, to the point where I have pre-ordered extra copies of these ones because I do want, you know, because why not? Might as well have 4 of the Stormdrake Guard just for a giggle. But yeah, really cool stuff. Fantastic minis, and should be really good fun to paint and play with. My tip with painting these guys though is when you have built them, spray paint them. So you don't have to spray paint your Stormcast Eternals if you don't want to. If you spray paint the actual Drake though, far easier in the long run. With any minis where they're big and they've got these big areas on them to kind of paint up, I will always suggest spraying them. Now, I haven't decided on a colour scheme for mine yet. I will be doing them as Lions of Sigmar in all honesty, and not the colour scheme that I started this magazine with. It depends on what kind of colour you think your Drake should be. So if you want to go lighter colours or darker colours, there are some really good examples. If you Google them, you'll find some really cool ones. It is entirely up to you though how you want to go about doing it. So just remember, it's your mini. You don't have to do it every way the way the box art says or anything like that. So, but really cool stuff. When you have base coated them though, I will suggest use thin coats of paint over things, especially things like the wings. If you don't use thin coats, it can go a bit streaky and it'll look a bit naff, and yeah, it won't look as good as it probably should. But yeah, really good issues. I am looking forward to painting these guys at some point because it will take me a while to get around to them, like most things at the moment. Anywho, this week's issue, obviously, as I say, issue 76. Going into it, we are greeted by some good old Warhammer Fiction, which I feel that we've not had as much as I would have expected with this magazine. I think Mortal Realms felt like it had a lot more. It felt like there was a new story every week. Imperium felt like there was a new story near enough every week as well. This magazine, only a couple throughout the entire run. It doesn't feel like anywhere near as much in the 80 issues, so which seems a bit odd and a bit bizarre to me, but it is what it is. But otherwise it's a pretty decent story. It does go on a little bit longer than most of the others. Normally you'd get one side, well, 2 sides of a page, and this one actually goes on for 4 pages, so pretty damn cool. It is Spearhead, because obviously Spearhead's a big thing now in Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and yeah, it's pretty cool. So it's all to do with Dawnbringer Crusades, because a lot of the 3rd edition of good old Age of Sigmar revolved around Dawnbringer Crusades, and now obviously we've changed tact. So pretty cool stuff though, really nice, and obviously you get some really nice artwork in there as well. Mostly the older artwork because it's the older Liberators on there. Anywho, moving on, we've got a how to build guide. So obviously you haven't got every part yet, so you can't really crack on with your building. So this is your opportunity to try and catch up on a few minis. If you're like me though and you're kind of not got the time to catch up on all your minis because there's too many of them. Yeah, it is what it is. I still have a couple of minis from Mortal Realms that I haven't done, so it is what it is. Anywho, pretty damn cool. Obviously, it does tell you about going with sub-assembly, so build your Stormcast separate from your Drake and don't put them on straight away. Wait till you've painted because it'll make it easier and far better for painting. So you've got sub-assemblies 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So obviously don't paint on your flying stem as well. That flying stem is clear-ish plastic. So the idea is if you paint it up if you paint on there, you're going to end up getting paint on the flying stem. It's going to look rough, it's going to look a bit horrible and a bit ropey. So do them in sub-assemblies. If you are spraying them, spraying the drakes when they're in sub-assemblies is going to be a little bit tricky because you're going to want to get all around it with a nice even coat. I haven't really got a solution to that. In all honesty, you can kind of craftily assemble something, maybe. So, you know, use an old paintbrush to whack it on the end and or something. I don't know. There's got to be a way of doing it in a sub-assembly quite easily with spraying. But or if you do want to paint it on there, get some masking tape around it because then that'll stop the paint going on the actual flying stem. Maybe, might be an idea. Anywho, build guide obviously fairly straightforward-ish. There are a few smaller parts to this, so obviously the wings are in several parts, so that's going to be a bit of a challenge. So do not kind of worry too much about it though. There are a couple of slight interchangeable parts when it comes to the wings, but it's up to you how you want to go about building it. Have a bit of fun with it. As I say, there are interchangeable parts with things like the heads on there, and obviously you can go sword or you can go lance. Entirely up to you. If you have multiple issues, obviously you can have both. So why the hell not? Once you're done though, the drakes are going to look a little bit like that and a little bit like that. They look really cool, they look quite menacing, they look pretty damn good. Definitely minis that I'm looking forward to getting going with. So should be really good fun. And obviously once you've done your other sub-assemblies, once you've built it all, you can put it all together, have a bit of fun with it and enjoy it. My big thing with these though is obviously these do have large bases. So basing them is very kind of important to how they look. So you can do this in many ways though. So if you have a load of spare parts from minis, if you've been saving them, so like the spare swords and shields and other bits that have come off other minis, so other Stormcast Eternals, your Crawl Boys and such like, that haven't been used, you can utilise them as kind of like scatter terrain. Obviously things like Sterling Mud, very handy. Cover your entire base with it. You can use good old the frames that you get, cut them up into small little chunks, and you can kind of use them as debris. If you have the Citadel skulls, you can use those. You can get 3D printed skulls, you can get 3D printed near enough anything and everything, but decorate your base. A plain black base with flying stem doesn't look very nice, it's not very appealing, and detracts away from your mini. If you kind of spruce it up a little bit, it looks far better. So you can have a bit of fun with it, you can enjoy it, and you can get something really cool. I mean, the basic simple things are very easy. So if I grab one of my Cities of Sigmar pooches, one of the little dogs here, so for instance, just some grass tufts can do absolutely fantastic when the camera wants to focus. So you can do some grass tufts, and a small base, you only need a couple of them, and it'll look absolutely fantastic, and it'll look a lot better. If you're not basing them, it can look a bit rough and a bit rubbish, and it needs something to kind of break it up, and otherwise it's going to look a bit jarring, really, in my opinion. Anyway, enough talk about basing. Moving on, we've got our Iron Jaws battle traits page. Obviously this is part to do with your advanced rules for all the battle traits. Slight changes have happened with the new edition, nothing too drastic though. It's very similar. It's only really things like the war scrolls where things have actually changed in a bit more of a regular frequency. So I wouldn't worry about it. But pretty damn cool. And obviously you get your tutorials on how to utilize those battle traits as well. Then moving on, we've got our battle plan. So it is the last stand, a test of metal. So it is all about having heroes and troops. Now, this is a relatively small battle for the end of the magazine's run, which seems a bit weird, but it is only done on one map. Obviously, the last kind of issue or two will be the ones where there's a lot more to it. So it'll be really, really good and pretty damn cool. That's generally it. So obviously next week and the week after we have part 2 and part 3 of our Stormbringer Guard. We get a bit more information about Troggoths. We get our painting guide in the third part. Yeah, and then after that, only 2 issues left. So it's not a lot of issues left. The one thing I will say though is if you are spray painting, obviously make sure that you check the weather and heat and temperature and even humidity. Even in here in the UK. In the UK at the moment we've got a bit of a heat wave. I don't recommend spray painting in 28 degree heat. 20 degrees is a really, really good temperature. So just make sure you really, really shake your spray cans. But yeah, otherwise very, very good. Obviously there's a little bit more to come. Combat Patrol magazine is in the near future, just waiting for confirmation on dates. And I've still not 100% decided if I'm getting it yet still. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to look forward to now. Obviously good old Age of Sigmar is expanding, growing, changing, and there are more things to be announced, especially new Stormcast Eternals, new Skaven, new battle tomes to come. I may have an inkling of some things in the future, maybe not, but it should be really, really good fun no matter what anyway. That's it from me. I've rabbited on enough. Obviously it's very, very warm at the moment, so I'm sweating to death, so I'm going to get going. But thank you very, very, very much for watching, and obviously don't forget to hit like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Thank you very much. Bye bye now.